I'm excited to present this webinar to everybody. Okay, we're gathered here to talk about a very interesting topic and a topic that's very close to my heart. It is called neurodiversity, and I'll talk in a second about what neurodiversity is. But before we continue with that, I just want to ask everybody to think about what the word diversity means. And what does it mean when we talk about diversity? So think about that. Spend a minute or two thinking about that. So if you've taken a biology class, for example, you may have talked about biodiversity, okay, which is diversity in biological creatures, okay. If you've taken a social science class, you've talked about different other types of diversity, okay. So what are some types of diversity that you can think about? Michael, do you have any ideas about what types of diversity we can talk? We normally talk about?
Yeah.
So what are some examples here that you see?
Social class, race, religion, disability, gender, sexuality.
That's right. Very good. Very good. So all are parts of diversity of the human race. Okay, and it's something that we do celebrate, and it's part of what makes us strong. Okay, and we think about that a lot. Until very recently, we didn't really think much about diversity in the brain and how the brain is kind of wired, right? Like we talk about brains, and brains are made of neurons. If you think back, if you've ever studied any biology, you might have heard that, okay? And how they're wired, there are differences in how they're wired, okay? But we don't talk really about diversity in the brains, okay? But it is absolutely something that we can apply to brains as well, okay? So it's something that we increasingly talk about, and this concept is what we call neurodiversity, all right? So think for a moment about how our brain is like a flower, okay? So imagine that our brain is like a flower. So you see a rose here, you see a daisy, you see different types of flowers, beautiful flowers, right? Every flower is unique, and every flower looks different, right? All right, like that. Okay, so we have here a sunflower, a rose, a bluet, and a calla lily, right? Okay, so here's an example. All right, here's an example. Okay, do you mind reading this example, Michael?
Sorry, sunflower. You suffer from a syndrome known as Autism. We may be able to find a cure if you are lucky.
Okay, hugeism. Okay, why? Because the sunflower is it's a big flower, right? It's a pretty big flower. If you think about a sunflower, right, Michael? Yeah, you've seen sunflowers before, right? Okay, so here's another one. Okay, so these are the tiny little flowers called bluets. Okay, and they're small. They're much smaller than a rose. And what does the rose tell the bluet in this case?
Sorry to inform you, bluet, but you have what is known as GD, growing disability. Don't worry, with the proper treatment, you might be able to grow.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's what the rose said to the bluet. Okay. One more. Okay. The rose to the calla lily. Okay. This is a third example. What does the rose tell the calla lily?
Sorry to inform you, calla lily, but you have PDD, pedal deflect disorder. We may be able to control the symptoms, but there will never be a cure.
Okay, so the rose told the calla lily that it's because it's different, it only has one petal, that it's somehow not okay. right? So here's the question, okay? The question is there a problem with that kind of thinking? Is there something wrong with the calla lily? What do you think? What do you think, Michael?
It might have that symptom.
Okay, so but is there anything wrong with the calla lily or the bluet or the sunflower?
No.
No, nothing wrong with the calla lily, the bluet,
No.
or the sunflower. It's just different. Okay, it's just different, and that's all. Okay, so if you think of exactly. So if you think of human brains as something that's a diverse, sort of like flowers or fish, okay? There's an ecology of flowers, there's an ecology of fish, okay? And diversity makes those ecologies strong, okay? An ecosystem strong, okay? Human brains are equally diverse, and what makes them diverse is equally important and equally gives us strength. Okay, so human brains have the ability to transform, adapt to change, and form new connections. But also, diversity is what makes us strong. Because remember, if we're all the same, that wouldn't be good either. Okay, if every person is just like Miss Sokolovska, can you imagine 8 billion Miss Sokolovskas in this world? Would that be a good world to live in? What do you think?
That would be a bizarre.
That would be a very bizarre world.
Just imagine if there was 101 people named Michael.
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I right, Mr. O'Grady?
Yes, you are, Michael.
Okay, that would be a very bizarre world. Okay, so we're going to watch this video.
This is Jenny. Jenny is different from the people around her. Jenny might have problems seeing words or reading faces or just sitting still for too long. Jenny doesn't tell people about her difference. She's afraid if she does, then she might lose her job. But Jenny does have strengths too. She has loads of ideas or a brilliant eye for detail, or she's at her best in a crisis. Doctors want to say that Jenny is defective, but Neurodiversity says she just needs respect for her differences. Can we design software for the positive sides of people like Jenny? Come to alt.chi and find...
Okay, so if we think about human talents and abilities and characteristics, okay, we're all on a spectrum, okay? So for example, some people are highly articulate. Okay, so that means they're highly verbal, they talk a lot. Okay, so Michael, you are very articulate. You talk in a very competent manner. All right, and some people don't talk so much. Okay, nothing wrong with either person. Okay, some people just socialize more, some people don't socialize as much. Okay, it's just a spectrum. And there's no judgment, even though in our society, maybe more social people are valued more. There's nothing wrong with being less sociable, more introverted, right? It's fine. It's fine to be more introverted. And in fact, I tend to be a little bit more introverted on the most part, okay? So that is a part of neurodiversity as well, okay, when you think about it, okay? And also another important thing about neurodiversity is it's important to remember, and this is not to minimize that there is real suffering, and people with disabilities sometimes do suffer greatly because of various reasons, okay, because of their disability, but also because of lack of access to support, okay? But it is important to remember whether you're regarded as disabled or gifted may depend largely upon when or where you live, okay? So for example, okay, there was this person in the past called Joan of Arc, okay? She was a brilliant medieval general who probably would have been considered a schizophrenic today because she had auditory hallucinations, okay? Today, people with auditory hallucinations are considered schizophrenic. Now, that doesn't mean that people with schizophrenia don't suffer a great deal. It absolutely is a very, very serious condition, and people with schizophrenia require support. But that doesn't mean that there aren't places and times when this may not have been seen as a gift of some kind, okay? Another example that we can think of is if you think of some video game characters. So Michael, do you know who this is? Who is this?
It's Steve.
It's Steve, that's right. And would you say that Steve has hands or fingers? Does Steve have fingers?
In Minecraft, nobody ever has hands.
Yeah.
Has hands or fingers.
That's right. Because in the Minecraft world, you don't need fingers, right? You don't have pianos in Minecraft, okay? And you don't need, like basically in Minecraft, what you need is to build blocks, okay, and to be able to break them down, okay? So it's fine if your fist is like a hammer. You don't need fingers, right? So in that world, it's not a disability not to have hands or fingers, okay? But in our world, it would be considered a disability. So this is where, like, you can think about that, okay? It's like, for example, another example, of course, is if you put a fish on a tree, obviously, and this is an example that's been used in the past, and it's attributed to Einstein, okay? A fish would be considered disabled in the world of birds because a fish swims and a bird flies, right? And vice versa. Most birds can't really survive in the water. There are some aquatic birds as well, of course, but they can't breathe underwater, for example, birds, right? So, so it really depends on the world that we create in terms of who we see as disabled or gifted, okay? So here's some examples. So let's brainstorm a little bit about what neurodiversity is and what types of words we associate with neurodiversity. So here's a few that have been handwritten, okay? So let's think about that. This is one word that we no longer use so much, okay? It's no longer recognized by doctors. It used to be talked about by doctors, Asperger's, okay? But it's no longer talked about by doctors. It's not recognized anymore, okay? Instead, we use this word. We use the word autism, okay? Autism. So that's a difference, okay? So Michael, do you see some of the other ones? What's another one that we see here?
Down
syndrome, yeah. What are some other ones?
Visual learner.
Yeah. Linguistic learner.
Linguistic learner.
Yeah, there's another one, mathematical, logical, and there's another one here. Do you see
ADHD.
ADHD, that's right, ADHD. And we're gonna watch one more video, okay? Okay, there will be some video clips. I'm gonna keep them short. I might cut them short just for the sake of the presentation, so we don't keep it too long, but I will also post this presentation so that you will be able to watch those clips in their entirety, okay? So this is actually, it's the same one as before. Sorry about that. Okay. So we talked about that. Okay, so the first one, okay, here's a couple of well-known people that have talked about having ADHD, okay? And ADHD is a brain difference. It's a difference in how your brain is wired, okay? And often people with ADHD have trouble with focus and attention, but they're also very, very creative and energetic, okay? They're full of energy. And of course, Will Smith is a comedian and a musician and a rapper. And who is this guy? Who is this guy? Do you know? Mike, you love movies, right? Who is this?
You didn't show me.
Who is this? Do you know?
Who's this guy?
Yeah, on the left. So there's Will Smith. He was in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Do you remember?
A detective?
Pet Detective. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, that's right. Okay, so both Jim Carrey and Will Smith have come out as having ADHD. So they have talked about their ADHD. And many other people too. This is not an uncommon brain difference at all. And some of you maybe have received that diagnosis as well. So I'm going to share this YouTube video of a young person who is a musician who talks about his ADHD through his music. Okay, so let's listen and watch. Okay, all right. Okay, so as I said, I didn't talk about this. So this is Will Smith, and this is, who is this, Michael?
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, that's right. Okay, so I'm going to share this YouTube video of a young man who talks about his ADHD via his music. Okay, so.
JT, get your homework done.
I'm dealing with the ADD. I'm 12, but I've been dealing with it since 3, and it's only getting harder for me. And you could probably compare Tom Sawyer to me. I live outside the box, I'm in school. I try to give it all I got, but they rude. I wish her name Colin, stop, I stay cool. The spirit in the heart I got, they can't move. I wanna throw the towel in, but I ain't through. Emotionally fall out, trying to take me all out my cool. I can make you love me, respect me, just give me the tools that I need to succeed. Instead of putting me down, trying to push me around, just be a teacher to me. You'll see, so I can make you love me, respect me, just give me the tools that I need to succeed. Instead of putting me down, trying to push me around, just be a teacher to me. Cause I've been dealing with this ADD. I need a friend that's a friend when we ain't friends, but my condition make it hard for me to make friends. So whenever I try to blame, but my message don't stand, so I'm stuck going around and around again. It's my lack of attention, the class I'm in, make them look at me like I ain't supposed to be like them. But hey, it's hard to see me like them. Why don't teacher go set the bar high for him? Could it be that I'm not organized as them? Whole function of focus the same as he. Did you forget? I'm dealing with this ADD. You must have forgot. I'm dealing with this ADD. I can make you love me, respect me, just give me the tools that I need to succeed. Instead of putting me down, trying to push me around, just be a friend to me. You'll see, cause I can make you love me, respect me, just give me the tools that I need to succeed. Instead of putting me down, trying to push me around, just be a friend to me. Cause I've been dealing with this ADD that I can't even pronounce. I take them every day right before I leave the house. And there's still one thing I can't figure out, why I gotta keep putting these pills in my mouth. I try to ask questions, I don't get no answers. Then you wonder why I go to school and I act up. I tell them it's the inputs, things that I lack of. Attention and patience, memory distractions, shows in my schoolwork and immature actions. I try and I try, but so far my reaction is only getting worse. So things don't work for me. I pray to God he can help me with this ADD. I can make you love me, respect me, just give me the tools that I need to succeed. Instead of putting me down, trying to push me around, just be a mentor to me. You'll see, so I can make you love me, respect me, just give me the tools that I need to succeed. Instead of putting me down, trying to push me around, just be a mentor to me. So I've been dealing with this ADD.
I like this, how he dedicates it to all children that have ADD and ADHD. All right. That's awesome. Amazing. Let me go back to the presentation now. Okay. So that's a little bit about ADHD. Okay. We have also dyslexia. Can you read this, what it says on the t-shirt? Michael, what does it say? If
Often mix up letters and words.
often mix up letters.
If you
Can read
read this message, you
have
have
dyslexia. Dyslexia. Good.
dyslexia.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you have dyslexia, but it's kind of a fun thing to say. I mean, to talk about, because dyslexics often have trouble with reading and writing, but they can visualize very well in 3D. Okay, so one way to kind of like empathize with people with dyslexia is to do the writing on the forehead activity. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen, I'm going to ask you to join us in doing this. Okay, a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. Okay, so you don't need a very large piece of paper. Just this, about this size is fine. So you can do this. Okay, and what you can do is, what you can do is you can try and write your name, but try not to look at the camera. Okay, so try not to look with the in the camera. So I'm going to look away and try to write my name. Okay, so try to do this as well, Michael, if you can. Okay, so I'm going to try and write my name. I'm probably going to mess it up, and that's okay. It's kind of part of the fun, right? So it's kind of a mess. I didn't really, let me try it one more time. Okay. I kind of did it, but it's not very good. Did you try, Michael? Did you try?
No.
Okay, so if you can try it at another time, that's okay. But it's sort of helps you empathize a little bit with people with dyslexia, okay? Because it is kind of a hard thing to do. All right. Okay, another one is autism, okay? So we talked a little bit about autism already, okay? Often people with autism are highly focused and have very intense special interests. Did check have been diagnosed? They are not self-diagnosed. They have a diagnosis of autism. So the newest one here, do you know who this is, Michael? He's kind of a famous guy.
Famous guy?
Mm-hmm. Often people with autism do also have trouble with communication, but not always. Some are highly, highly articulate as well. Okay. So this person his name is Elon Musk. Okay. If you have heard of him. Another one is Sir Anthony Hopkins. Okay, so he's a well-known actor. Elon Musk is, just to go back to him, he's the founder of SpaceX and the CEO of Tesla. Okay, so he's a very well-known tech giant right now. Okay, so Sir Anthony Hopkins is a well-known actor. We have here Dan Aykroyd, who is a very well-known comedian. He was in Ghostbusters and many other movies. Okay, we have this guy's musician. I forget his name, Adam something. I'm sorry. This is Temple Grandin. She's a very well-known animal scientist and advocate. And this is Daryl Hannah, also an actress. We have a couple of different things. Okay, actually, I'm gonna click on the TikTok first. It's a young woman talking about her autism. Okay, and a little bit about autism in girls.
When doctors were studying autism, they only studied males. This makes it harder for anyone else to be diagnosed because everything is based off the male brain. This sucks. Girls usually end up showing different traits than guys do, which is why it can take us years to get diagnosed. I was 15 when I got diagnosed, and that's considered early for a girl. I have a guy friend who's autistic, and he was 2 when he got diagnosed. A main reason as to why girls are so late to get diagnosed is because we are particularly good at one thing that guys are not so good at when it comes to autism. And this is something we call masking. Masking is basically just being like a really good actor. It's where you take traits that everyone else is showing and start portraying them as yourself. It's like a lot of copying going on. But in your mind, you don't think you're copying. You think that this is normal and everyone feels the same way that you do. You basically feel like an alien and you're really good at hiding that, which is why I don't seem autistic.
So that's a little bit about autism. Okay, so now actually going into neurodiversity. All right, it's really important to think about okay, so sorry, sharing this tab. Sorry about that. Okay, it's really important to think about neurodiversity and how important it is that we think of it as a strength. Okay, it's because our world really does need all kinds of minds, and it's something that Dr. Temple Grandin has talked about a lot. I'm just gonna share the first few minutes of this video. Okay. But just remember, neurodiversity to a certain extent is almost like kind of adapting yourself to a different culture, but it's also supporting each other and providing supports and having supports around you. Okay, it's very, very important because if we don't have those supports, it's harder for all of us to succeed. Okay, and it's so important to have those supports in order to reach your potential. Okay, so let's watch this video very shortly. I'm gonna we're not gonna watch all of it because it's quite long, but we'll watch just the first few minutes. Okay, Michael, and then we'll continue and we'll wrap up. Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
I think I'll start out and just talk a little bit about what exactly autism is. Autism is a very big continuum that goes from very severe, the child remains nonverbal, all the way up to brilliant scientists and engineers. And I actually feel at home here because there's a lot of autism genetics here. You wouldn't have any, it's a continuum of traits. When does a nerd turn into, Asperger, which is just mild autism? I mean, Einstein and Mozart and Tesla would all be probably diagnosed as autistic spectrum today. And one of the things that really is going to concern me is getting these kids to be the ones that are going to invent the next energy things, that Bill Gates talked about this morning. Okay, now if you want to understand autism animals, and I want to talk to you about different ways of thinking, you have to get away from verbal language. I think in pictures. I don't think in language. Now, the thing about the autistic mind is it attends to details. Okay, this is a test where you either have to pick out the big letters or pick out the little letters, and the autistic mind picks out the little letters more quickly. And the thing is, the normal brain ignores the details. Well, if you're building a bridge, details are pretty important because it'll fall down if you ignore the details. And one of my big concerns with a lot of policy things today is things are getting too abstract. People are getting away from doing hands-on stuff. I'm really concerned that a lot of the schools have taken out the hands-on classes because art and classes like that, those were the classes where I excelled. Okay, in my work with cattle, I noticed a lot of little things that most people don't notice would make the cattle balk. Like, for example, this flag waving right in front of the veterinary facility. This feed yard was going to tear down their whole veterinary facility. All they needed to do was move the flag. Rapid movement, contrast. In the early 70s, when I started, I got right down in the chutes to see what cattle were seeing. People thought that was crazy. A coat on a fence would make them balk, shadows would make them balk, a hose on the floor. People weren't noticing these things, a chain hanging down, and that's shown very, very nicely in the movie. In fact, I loved the movie how they duplicated all my projects. That's the geek side. My drawings got the star in the movie too. And actually, it's called Temple Grandin, not Thinking in Pictures. So what is Thinking in Pictures? It's literally movies in your head. My mind works like Google for images. Now, when I was a young kid, I didn't know my thinking was different. I thought everybody thought in pictures. And then when I did my book, Thinking in Pictures, I started interviewing people about...
Okay, if you wish to watch all of it, I will share this Google presentation with everybody, okay? So basically, the point of that video is that our world really, in order to tackle its problems, we have a lot of problems in the world right now, including climate change and technology and how our technology is affecting us. We really do need all kinds of minds, okay? And in order to improve our world, we need to recognize and support each other through our differences. Okay, so that is the whole point of this. It's the point of Star Trek as well. I love Star Trek. I don't know if other people love Star Trek, but I really do. And I feel like when you have the United Federation of Planets and the different species and how different they all are, right? And how they support each other, that kind of emphasizes that kind of thinking, right? And this is Worf, of course, and he's a Klingon. Okay, so my question with all of you, that will leave all of you, please think about this. What makes you unique, okay? And what do you think about neurodiversity? And how can you bring neurodiversity and inclusion into your community, into your family, into your school, okay? So think about that. Any last things? Michael, do you have any last thoughts before we wrap up?
I have a question.
Yes, absolutely.
What makes people unique?
So what do you think? What makes people unique?
It's their different. It's how they've been treated and respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Respect and how they're treated is such a huge part of each of us, right? And how much and how far we reach our potential. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope this has left you with something to think about and to bring into your communities. All right, take care and all the best.
It's nice to meet you. My name is Michael Campbell. I'm 17 years old, and I'm a child with autism, and I'm a person with autism. What makes me unique is that my own communication, and my love for art and movies. What makes me feel comfortable is by finding stuff online. Alongside, hence the name of online, you can look for more information. I'm kind of that brainiac guy. Ever since I've came here when I was 5 years old. This place was always been there for me ever since 2009. Ever since that, the time passed, and I've learned more. Ever since I've went to Adventure Place. The best thing, is for online stuff to explore. Ever since how we reach the potential is by working together. It's the simple message from the heart. It's also from this song I found by Ziggy Marlea. For those of you who don't know who that is, he's a Jamaican musician and and a philanthropist, if I'm saying it right.
Philanthropist, yeah.
It's really cool. I like it a lot, Michael.
It's always anytime reaching my potential takes years to work it out.
Thank you, Mike.
It's also another thing for goal. I'm looking forward to do more stuff online, especially if you have to be friends with a duck. So it's always anything is possible.
Alright. So my name is Regina. I am 17 years old. I have autism as well as a learning disability, so that makes me a lot more harder for me to write things down on a certain piece of paper, questions. I know the question, but it's hard for me to write it out or even try to explain it. And also, one unique thing about me is that I can crochet and I can knit. So here are some of the things that I have shown. So this is a piece of knitting project that I did roughly about a few months ago. This one I recently did about a couple months ago. This one I did last year. I also have done some paintings, like this one over here.
So just beautiful painting. Gorgeous paintings.
Thank you.
I love the colors. They're so vivid. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Wow. Amazing.
Thank you.
Stunning blue.
So those are some of the things that I do. That's some of my talents that I really enjoy doing that helps keep me relaxed, calm when I'm in a stressful situation. People who like to help me and people that encourage me along the way, it makes me feel happy and it makes me feel like, I've got something. I got it, I can do it. It's not that hard, even though it is a bit of a challenge, but just trying to encourage me to do things, trying to push me and push me out of my comfort zone is something that kind of I struggle with, but once I get past that hurdle, it's not that bad.
Hello. How are you wondering who I am? Well, let me get started. My name is Christian Herrera, and I live in a house with 4 siblings. And as you probably can tell, I am in the latter. My house is to say a little pretty. And this is my girls. Yeah. Our house and family are big. I mean big. I live with 4 brothers, 3 on my mom's side, and 1 on my dad's side. I have 3 brothers and 1 sister, which is kind of a handful. My talents are I love going outside, I like running, and I love video games. And the best place where I get to hang out is my own room. Because, well, where else can I go? And living in my house is a bit crazy and noisy. What makes us unique is the power that we never give up. Whenever an obstacle comes our way, we get straight through and we reach our top. How can my friends and teachers help my potential? Well, my family has unique traits. And we have, the adults in our neighborhood and my house have different jobs. My mom has 2 jobs, 1 cleaning and 1 taking care of us. My dad is a construction worker. He works almost full time, so that means the only reason he comes back is in the night. My grandma and grandpa are really old, but they work at separate jobs. They both do cleaning, but never really have work. And then there's me. As you can tell, I'm the oldest, so whenever my parents and family need help, I help them. But with babysitting, that's a whole different story. I have a lot of things I take care of. I have fish to feed, I have pets to take out, I have even brothers and sisters to look after. What can reach my potential, you ask? Well, there's only one thing that can reach my potential, and that is learning hard and thinking hard. This is Christian Herder signing off. And P.S. If you ever have trouble, just think it through.
And hi everyone, my name's Josh. I am 17 years old. I was born in Canada and I enjoy learning music as well as I really love to learn and read about books. So the things that make me unique are really my talents, which are playing the piano and singing within the Davenport Music Festival. So I'd really like everyone to know that I have mild autism, and it isn't really difficult for me, but sometimes just in life I'm a bit slower, just when gaining information and learning, just because I hear everything. That's a part of my autism. I hear everything, and sometimes it's hard to really focus on one person that's speaking at a time. Also, something else that makes me really unique is that I know a large amount about film and I love history. History is my favorite subject in school. So people, friends, teachers, and my community can really help me reach my potential by really being supportive of my learning disabilities, so knowing that I have mild autism, and helping me through my journey in high school and university further on, because it's really just in life, it's so important to be supportive of one another, because in life, you never know people, who they are, what they do, what their background is. So it's always important to not look at a person, but to look at their potential and really understand that they can go further. Thank you.
Important things about you and you want people to know. Okay, my name is Nicholas Patel. I am a Canadian. I was born and raised here. My parents were born and raised in India, Gujarat. When I was 4 years old, I went to kindergarten to learn about all of the kids stuff, and then when I became older and older, I went past about my careers. I studied really hard. I'm a type of person who is a very nice person. And when I got when I was let's just say 10 or 11 years old, around that, I became a little bit mean and rude and all that stuff. But when time goes on, I changed myself and I started to become nice to people, and I like to help other people in struggles no matter what time they're in, especially in pandemics. And yeah, that's who I am. And that's about it basically. Oh yeah, and I like to play so much video games. I am also a gamer as well. My career is about becoming a gamer and becoming an actor at the same time. So play games and become an actor. What makes you unique? What are your talents and skills? What are your differences? If you feel comfortable, you can talk to a disability here. Okay, my talent skills are, well, I wouldn't call them skills, but they're just things that I can do. Like for me, I'm not really like a talented person. So yeah, it's true that I do help people in their needs, and that's about it. Basically, I just help what I want people to know about my differences. I don't really have a disability, and I do sometimes kind of have a learning disability, and sometimes I talk a little bit weird because back then I got sick from the pool back in 2019 of summer. What makes me unique is, I'm just proud of myself. I'm proud of who I am, and no matter what, it's true that some people can judge me, but I'm not gonna let that get to me. and yes, I would fight it back. So I'm just the type of person who's thankful for what I have and who I am. To me, how could your friends, teachers, and community help you reach the point? People can help reach me by, I don't know, about understanding of who I am and giving me some kindness and appreciation, basically like when people want to be nice to me. Like, that's what I like. And it's not just teachers, it's also communities and friends, and especially also my family members as well. And yeah, that's about it basically.